As a fractional CFO, I've come into a lot of different organizations and seen the accounting department be a little bit confused about who exactly owns what task in the accounting processes. And that can be a little bit frustrating when you thought somebody was taking care of paying bills, but actually, no, they thought you were taking care of it. Or maybe somebody was supposed to be in charge of filing the annual report, or somebody was in charge of filing that state tax return, and turns out that somebody dropped the ball because they didn't fully understand that that was part of their roles and responsibilities. Well, it happens all the time. If it's ever happened to you, first of all, I just want to say, hey, it does happen all the time. You are not alone. But what I would like to help you with as a fractional CFO is hopefully help you mitigate that happening in the future, because it's really horrible when bills don't get paid. So pretty much anybody, any business, regardless of the size, is going to have different responsibilities in their accounting processes. And so what I am bringing to you guys today is a checklist. And this is a general checklist that can be customized directly for your business. And it is a free download. I am giving this away for free. This is something that we actually use with clients. And I'm like, hey, you know what? The world will be a better place if more people are using a checklist like this, and more people are going to have their accounting systems and processes organized. And so I want to give this to you as a free gift. So I'm going to walk you through and kind of do a little high level about what this checklist is all about. But I want to invite you to download this checklist for yourself, and you can get it in the description box below. You can also get it by going to clairecfo.com/responsibility. Okay, and just a reminder, if you aren't already subscribed to the channel and you run a small business and you would like your business to be more financially healthy and sustainable, you are in the right place, and I would invite you to subscribe to the channel, because that is what our videos are all about here. So I'm going to show you this accounting responsibility checklist. And what this does is it shows you kind of what is the type of task, and then a description of that task, and then a recommendation of how frequently that task should be happening, and also then a recommendation of who in the accounting department, and that might even be somebody outside of the accounting department that has some kind of ties to accounting, might be responsible. And then there's a blank for you to put in who is responsible in your company to do that task. So I'm going to show you that. And just remember, this is customizable. Not every single organization is going to have each one of these tasks that I'm listing. And then your company might have additional tasks. Like if you have very complex inventory, for example, then you might have additional tasks than what's on here. I've briefly touched on inventory in this checklist, but it does not cover everything. Okay, so no more talking about the checklist. Let's go ahead and just show the checklist. All right, so here is our accounting responsibility checklist. And as I said, this is something that we actually use with clients so that we can get organized on who is responsible for what inside an organization. And this will also help highlight if there are some gaps in the process, like maybe nobody is doing something and you might need to hire somebody to come in and do something, or you might need to rework a job description of a current employee to include some of these additional tasks. Okay, so just high level, I have this separated into general accounting, payroll, financial oversight, and taxes. And then with this being an Excel spreadsheet, you can always add additional lines, okay? I'm not going to read every single thing here, but we have some general stuff, just things like reviewing and categorizing the bank and credit card activity. That can happen daily, and that can be done by a bookkeeper or a staff accountant. Sometimes even an admin person is trained to do this, but this is just a suggested skill level. We like somebody who has some understanding of accounting and a bookkeeping system to be the one in a bookkeeping system, okay? Now, that being said, we've trained admin people to do tasks in QuickBooks before. It's not like it's rocket science, so we don't have to do that, but I've just tried to put a suggested skill level here. This is where you can take it over and you can adjust this for you. Maybe this is done, maybe you say instead of daily, it's done weekly, and the responsibility is Jill who sits at the front desk. If that's the case, then you would put that in here, and then you can make sure that that is part of Jill's job description so that Jill understands that this is part of her role and she understands the frequency of when she's supposed to do that. Things like checking the mail for bills, checks, notices, any kind of, and then we have reconciliation of bank accounts, receipt review, receipt filing and attaching to the accounting records, ordering checks, making changes to the bank account. Now, making changes to the bank account is probably going to be the business owner. So we put that there as suggested skill level, and then the responsibility would be the person in your organization. Making wire transfers, approving and making journal entries. I have accounts receivable tasks here, things like invoicing customers, recording deposits into the accounting system, reviewing the accounts receivable aging and following up with customers. You'd be surprised at how often that gets overlooked and nobody has it part of their regular process. And then you have all these invoices sitting out that are waiting to be paid because nobody is following up on them. That is never a good thing. I have some things in here for accounts payable, things like bill pay, reviewing for payment, and then paying bills by check, paying bills by electronic, maybe ACH. And then again, recommended frequencies here. I have a few things for inventory on here as well. And then for payroll, we have things like timesheet management. So enter employee time into timesheets. Is that the employee's job? Is that somebody else's? We recommend that being the employee's job. Daily. Who reviews the time cards and timesheet? This is weekly. Now, this might be somebody outside of the accounting department, but it's very important if those time cards are actually going to be rolling into payroll. It needs to be included here on the accounting responsibility checklist because that's going to be good data in to get good data out, right? Who is actually pressing the button to run the payroll? Who's doing that? Who's remitting the payroll taxes to the IRS? Now, sometimes this is done automatically by your accounting system, which would be great. Filing your quarterly 941s. Hopefully that's your payroll software. If your payroll software isn't doing that, you need to start considering something like Gusto that could do that for you. And then filing quarterly employment returns with the states. And then you might have some additional payroll tax type things to do here as well. But I would recommend, customizing this as much as possible for the states that you're actually in so that you can be really explicit on who's exactly doing what. Remember, I've kept this general so that you can take it and make it specific for you. All right. And then we get into oversight. So this one is oftentimes something that gets forgotten about because people say, oh, the books are done and I have a CPA who does my annual tax return, but they're not actually looking at the books on a regular basis and they're not looking at their financial reports on a regular basis. So I've made sure to give you some really explicit things that you should be doing here. Who is managing your accounting staff? And your accounting staff could even mean your outsourced bookkeeper, your outsourced CFO. Like somebody still kind of needs to manage that relationship, right? Who's helping set financial goals for the year? Who's creating your annual budget? Who is reviewing your financials for accuracy and proper accounting? Who's comparing your budget versus actual and providing insights so that you can make adjustments and know what you need to adjust so that you can make budget if you're not making it? Who's updating your cash flow forecast? Who is doing your financial KPI development? Who is conducting a monthly financial review? All of these things are kind of part of this oversight bucket. And a lot of times this would be done by either the CEO, the CFO, or if you have a controller. And then we get into taxes. So we have sales tax, federal tax, state tax, general tax things, and then some federal on here as well. And this can be things like calculating sales tax. It can be who is saving money for estimated taxes and actually deciding how much money gets saved on a regular basis. Who is actually remitting those estimated quarterly tax payments. I've seen this be a bookkeeper doing this. I've seen this be the CPA actually pulling money and making those payments, which that's not very common. And I've seen this be the business owner. So this can be, lots of different roles in an organization. So make sure that you're really clear on who's doing that because you don't want to be making 2 tax payments. That would be bad. Then your cash is locked up with the IRS and you don't want that to be the case. And then, things like filing your state returns for business income, that's going to be different in every state. Like I'm in Washington state and we have a business excise tax and that can be done either monthly, quarterly, or annually, depending on what they have prescribed to you based on your volume of sales. We've got things like tax advisory services, like who's helping actually save on taxes. That can be a CPA or a CFO, and who's doing tax planning strategy. You can have, who's preparing the documentation to even get it all together for the business tax return, and then who's filing the business tax return, who's filing the business owner's tax return, because usually that's going to be 2 separate tax returns if you are a separate entity like a partnership or an S corporation or a corporation. Okay, so that's like really high level. I didn't want to read every single line to you guys, but I just wanted to show you like this is really important when it comes to creating rigor in your accounting department so that you can consistently have accurate financials, that you know that you're not missing anything critical like a really important bill, or that you are, collecting on your receivables so that you are, in that cash flow positive state because you're regularly collecting because you have some good rigor around invoicing and collecting on those. And then you have a timely process for paying on your bills, and you have your payroll going out on time, your employees are getting paid on time, you're not getting behind in anything. And this rigor is going to help you, continue to mature and grow as an organization and have healthier cash flow, and ultimately help you as a business owner become more financially sustainable and more successful. All these things are just tools to really help you in your small business and help you thrive. And that's why I'm here. So if this is helpful, please make sure you download this checklist in the description box below, or go to claracfo.com/responsibility to get your copy. And if you have any other questions, please put them in the comment section below. And just a reminder, we are a fractional CFO agency. So if you find yourself needing more oversight in your accounting responsibility checklist and you don't have anybody sitting in that seat, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk to you. You can find our information in the description box below as well. Okay, well, thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.